to Goodison Park for this match in the FA Carling Premiership. Time to introduce this afternoon's sides to you, starting with our visitors from Manchester United. In goal number 1, Peter Schmeichel. Number 3, Dennis Airwick. Number 4, David May. Number 6, Gary Pallister. Number 7, Eric Cantona. Number 8, Nicky Butt. Number 10, David Beckham. Number 11, Ryan Gibbs. Number 12, Philip Neville. Number 16, Roy Keane. And number 20, Ole Gunnar Solskjær. The Manchester United substitutes Brian Blair, Jordan Frank, Ray Van de Gaal, Paul Scholes, and Ronnie Johnson. And now the Everton side, starting with in goal, number 13, Paul Scholes. Number 2, Hal Barrett. Number 5, James Watson. Number 4, David Unsworth. Number 6, Terry Phelan. Number 7, Graham Stewart. Number 18, Joe Parkinson. Number 15, Klaus Thompson. Number 10, Gary Speed. Number 12, Nick Barmby. And number 9, Duncan Ferguson. The Everton substitutes Grace Short, Mark Pottinger, Paul Whiteout, Neville Southall, and Michael Branch. The referee this afternoon is Mr. David Gallagher, and the rest of his assistants are Mr. Good and Mr. Green.
If they want a half-time report, I won't be hearing anything. So you say anything like that, just say, one input.
And let's have a huge cheer for our mascot this afternoon, which is James Galloway from Everton-Man. Thank you, James.
Dermot Gallagher, the referee this afternoon. Manchester United's exploits in Europe this season have been followed by a dip in their league form, most notably, of course, against Sunderland following the first leg of the Champions Cup quarter-final against FC Porto. All these matches now in the run-in to the Championship elevated to the level almost of cup finals, and teams like Everton desperate for the points as well. Phelan to Stewart, who didn't succeed in keeping it in play. It will be a Manchester United throw. Dennis Irwin into Beckham. Cantona, Beckham. Manchester United playing this afternoon once again without Andy Cole. Solskjær will be up front. Here's Philip Neville, a replacement for his brother Gary. That's aimed at Cantona. Was Unsworth with the saving header, and now here's Gary Speed. He was a little bit slow, Graham Stewart. Keane, Philip Neville, replacing his brother Gary. Nicky Butt, Cantona, Butt. Earl Barrett can funnel it back to Paul Gerrard. That's aimed at Ferguson and won by Ferguson, but David May was covering behind Gary Pallister. Dennis Irwin trying to pick out Solskjær, who gets all tangled up with Earl Barrett, and Dermot Gallagher decides free kick Everton. There's already an offside flag against Ferguson in the middle. Big Duncan Ferguson scored the 2 goals that Everton got at Old Trafford earlier in the season. Manchester United having to fight back for a 2-2 draw. Schmeichel with the kick, quite a long way out of his goal. Ryan Giggs. Here's Roy Keane. Finds David Beckham. There's no support on the right side. Beckham chancing his hour from a fair old distance. Never troubled Paul Gerrard in Everton's goal. But he can do better, and maybe will later. That's aimed at Speed. Out by Irwin. 15 is Thompson. Earl Barrett. Comes back to Dave Watson. Off Giggs. Earl Barrett. Here's Klaus Thompson. Parkinson leaves it for David Unsworth. Slip was by Nicky Barmby. Ferguson gets away from Pallister. Here's Nicky Barmby, but United have covered it well, and Pallister waited too long before he cleared it. Gary Speed from distance. Some sharp exchanges in these opening few minutes. And Gary Speed will know he'll need to be a bit closer to Schmeichel than that. Here's Earl Barrett. Trying to outrun Neville. Well, United have unsuccessfully appealed for free kick. Barrett did appear to have his arms across Philip Neville's shoulders. Earl Barrett, ever present in this Everton side this season, to get distance with the throw and look for the head of Watson, who flicks it on. That's off Pallister. Under pressure, corner. Pallister the saviour. Nicky Barmby has gone across to take the corner. Dave Watson trying to find some room. That's Gary Speed going in. Ferguson's header. There's a flag up. May have been against Unsworth. Well, Manchester United know all about the dangers of Duncan Ferguson in the air. We waited Unsworth, and well, I don't think there was anything deliberate, but the flailing arm of Unsworth seemed to catch Solskjær. Headed up by Barmby. Philip Neville. Solskjaer's still a bit groggy. Well, there didn't appear to be that much contact, but Solskjær has now left the field for treatment. Philip Neville, back to him from Giggs. This may end up back with Schmeichel. Phelan finds Duncan Ferguson. Good footwork by Gary Speed. Phelan on his outside. Aimed at Graham Stewart's. Here's Nicky Butt, and here's Ryan Giggs. United breaking out down the middle. Keane supports down the left. Well, the attack rather lost its impetus, and then Manchester United lost possession. Dave Watson forced to hurry by Solskjær. Pallister only as far as Barmby. That will be Schmeichel's. That flicked off the head of Unsworth. Solskjær will get to it, but there's not a lot of support for him. Cantona indicating that he wanted it in the air, or maybe he was suggesting that Solskjær should have let it run for the corner. Here's Terry Phelan to get the home crowd going. Gary Speed. Giggs back defending. Thompson. Ferguson lays it down for Barrett, who just waits for Ferguson to take up a good position. That's a sharp throw by Schmeichel to find Beckham, but he's lost possession to Parkinson. Phelan's throw, headed on by Speed. That's David May. That finds its way to Nicky Butt. David May for Solskjær. Giroud starts to come. He's out of the area now. Picked in goal by Joe Royle today. Paul Giroud in preference to Neville Southall, who's just a substitute. It's his fourth appearance of the season. Gary Pallister. Giggs. Solskjær back to him first time. Solskjær. Oh, defenders were guilty of standing off Solskjær. Philip Neville. Nicky Butt. That went out. I don't think Keane was ready for it. This will come back to Giroud. Again, Ferguson wins it in the air. Stewart. Klaus Thompson. Earl Barrett. Everton continue to exert good pressure. And in the end, it's back to Watson. Well, Gary Speed makes a good run into space. Blocked by Pallister, was it? United haven't cleared it, but Giggs now has, and it will stay in play. Not sure Watson wanted that back. This is Joe Parkinson. Barmby recovers after a poor first touch. Watson. Here's Unsworth. Everton have done well enough in these opening 12 minutes or so. Gary Speed to Graham Stewart. Phelan offers width and is ignored, and that's far too close to Schmeichel. Quick distribution from the United keeper. Solskjær. Joe Parkinson back to help out. Speed waited too long, dispossessed by Butt. Here's Giggs. There was nobody quite as sharp as they needed to be. Earl Barrett into Graham Stewart. Play waved on, or is it? No, free kick given. Ryan Giggs just explaining that he was sandwiched by two Everton players. I think in truth he was just guilty of dwelling on the ball too long. A chance perhaps for Everton to search out the forehead of Duncan Ferguson. Nicky Barmby will take the free kick. We've had just under 14 minutes. There is Ferguson. It was never going to test Peter Schmeichel, but it's a reminder to United of what Ferguson can do in the air. They've certainly got to keep him well shackled. Well, almost 15 minutes gone, and no serious excitement in either penalty area. Here's Terry Phelan. Gary Speed. Phelan. Parkinson. United are denying them a route to the forward players. Another flick on from Ferguson, and Pallister missed his clearance. Here's Klaus Thompson and Graham Stewart getting in a tangle. That time Pallister was well placed. One or two misdirected passes. Cries of anguish. Neville, Butts, Pallister. This may well go back to Schmeichel. Give United a little bit of breathing space. Free kick against Nicky Butts. Another free kick gives Everton the chance to try and find Duncan Ferguson in the air. Barmby to take it, that's hit too long. And United look for the quick breakout with Roy Keane. Beckham. Parkinson in sharply on Cantona. That seems to be Everton's tactic. Get in quickly, get in tight, and deny Manchester United room and space. Klaus Thompson. Again, Ferguson wins it, but nothing accrues from it. Beckham. Keane. Sharply challenged by Gary Speed. Just over 15 minutes gone. One in the air by Unsworth, but only as far as David Beckham. Cantona, Dennis Irwin, Keane for Beckham. That's put out by Unsworth. It will be a Manchester United throw. Free kick. Won by Beckham, but it will be an Everton throw. Joe Parkinson finds Earl Barrett with room in front of him. Graham Stewart, Barrett. Thompson's available if he chooses to use him. Thompson. Phelan. Well, he's going across field rather than forward, but he's found Earl Barrett. Flick on was by Roy Keane, and he needed to because Barmby was just behind him. Earl Barrett showed too much of that to Ryan Giggs, and Keane is supported by Neville. This may have to go back to the goalkeeper. Well, space has been at a premium so far. Manchester United have found precious little of it. They've been tightly shackled. Graham Stewart. Earl Barrett. Here's Klaus Thompson. Out by May. Giggs. Nicky Butt. Again, the football is tidiest from Everton. And Eric Cantona with a mouthful of instruction for teammates about the way he wants them to play the game. That's aimed at Gary Speed. Well, there was no flag, although United thought there should have been. Terry Phelan and David Beckham exchanging pleasantries. Phelan, of course, was once a Manchester City player. That's won by Dave Watson. Oh, the bounce is awkward for May, but he's got a free kick against Ferguson, who's left David May on the floor, and the United reaction suggests they feel Ferguson has used an elbow. Oh, there certainly was an elbow by Ferguson. It's the game's first sparky moment. Dermot Gallagher called upon to adjudicate. I'm not sure he's getting much help from his assistant on this near side. The bounce was awkward. It looked as if it might isolate David May, and as they chased shoulder to shoulder, Ferguson would appear to have used an elbow. Well, it was a 6 of one and half a dozen of another up to that point. It's a yellow card for Duncan Ferguson. And David May still requires treatment. Andy Cole not available through injury. Gary Neville, another injured absentee. United do have Ronnie Johnson and the substitutes. Joe Royle will be concerned that his big number 9 is once again a figure of controversy. Schmeichel takes the free kick. Cantona knocks it on. Roy Keane finds Giggs. Back heel for Butt, but speed was in to clear. It's Manchester United's throw. Watson. Knocked up by Thompson. Won by Gary Speed. Pallister, there's a clear route back to the goalkeeper. Offside. Watson takes the free kick. Ferguson wins it again. Irwin can clear upfield. Unsworth strongest. Here's David Beckham. United haven't really got going as an attacking force yet. Gerrard has sliced that. It will be a throw to Manchester United, close to the corner flag. Dennis Irwin will take the throw. Roy Keane. The tackles are coming in on Manchester United very quickly. Knocked in by Irwin. Out by Earl Barrett. Cantona, cheeky little drop of the shoulder. Nicky Butt. Cantona to Beckham. That should be the keeper's. Well, David May, it looks, is now going to be cautioned for the challenge on Graham Stewart. The game has become a bit spicy all of a sudden. Yes. He lifted his boot as Stewart tried to slip away from him. And suddenly the passions are roused here at Goodison. Watson's in there. Ferguson's in there. Barmby takes the free kick. Out by May. Thompson. Ferguson. A clutch of Everton players, but there's a push and an offside. Solskjær finds Beckham brilliantly. That's aimed at Giggs. Trying to get it back to Solskjær. Pallister's header. Terry Phelan comes surging forward into Gary Speed. Irwin wants to let it run and succeeds in doing so. Flick on by Cantona, but Solskjær was beyond the last defender. Joe Parkinson. Earl Barrett. Klaus Thompson. Everton have done most of the pressing in this first half, and that's just picking up a bit too much pace off the turf for Barmby to catch it. Everton will be highly satisfied with their start to this match. Won by Phelan. Here's Gary Speed. A good challenge by Irwin. David Beckham. Solskjær. Irwin needs to hurry. The trusty left foot of Terry Phelan. Beckham. Switching the point of attack cleverly to Eric Cantona. Philip Neville comes galloping up from full-back. Drilled in for Giggs, but out by Watson. "15 minutes to go to half-time. And that's easily picked out by Earl Barrett. And here's Graham Stewart in possession. Everton still enjoying the Lions' share of the attacking play. Gary Speed's been very influential for them. Terry Phelan with acres of space on this left side. Now, what sort of ball can he deliver? Ferguson fights for it. Parkinson gets dispossessed. And here's Giggs now popping up on this right side. Nicky Butt. That might spin to Roy Keane. Well, it's long-range shooting. But at least Manchester United have had a shot at Everton's goal. Just one earlier from David Beckham from a similar distance and in a similar direction over the bar. May, Schmeichel. Roy Keane. That was deflected off Barmby's knee. Gary Pallister. Everton are hunting the ball. They're making it difficult. David Beckham. United finding it difficult to get anything going. Speed. Barmby. Ferguson. That's a super ball from Ferguson. Here's Terry Phelan. Stewart comes to the near post. David May with a rescuing header. That's still in play, yes. Well, Everton looks as though that might be the opportunity for them to finally open Manchester United up. It was a great break down the left by Phelan. Offside is against Solskjær, not against Giggs, and it would have been a different story if Solskjær had been aware of that, because Giggs was running from an onside position. Earl Barrett. Thompson comes forward from midfield, faced by Gary Pallister. Corner. Some dissension in Manchester United's defence. Unsworth jogs up from the back. Dave Watson's in for the corner. Stewart takes it. Out to Parkinson, who kept it down. This is Barmby. Pallister covering Gary Speed. It'll be another corner. Gary Speed's getting warm applause from the crowd here at Goodison. Ever present till he missed the game against Derby. Everton will feel they've shaded this first half in no uncertain manner. Free kick given to Manchester United.
We have an urgent message for Carl Clark. Carl Clark, if you could go to the main stand reception, please. Your wife Stacey has gone into labour.
Just over 10 minutes left in the first half, which is still goalless. Although Everton have looked the more likely, but Solskjær's on the field. Anything's possible! Solskjær, a goal for Manchester United, quite frankly, out of nothing. They've hardly had an effort at Paul Gerrard in Everton's goal, but the sniff of a chance for young Solskjær. Top scorer with 13. That's goal number 14. A long punt upfield from Schmeichel. Cantona's flick on, the little touch to get around Dave Watson. And Gerrard, preferred today to Neville Southall, who's a substitute, was beaten down by his left side. Solskjær's 14th goal of the season. And what a predatory man he is in and around the penalty area. Barmby will take the free kick as Everton look for the quick riposte. Out by Giggs to Parkinson. Ferguson. In the end, it was smothered by the red shirts, and here comes Beckham. He's got Solskjær free on that left side. Giggs sprints through the middle. Cannoned off Earl Barrett. That will be an Everton throw. Unsworth. Well, that goal has stunned the Goodison crowd, who were increasingly vociferous and growing in optimism after a spirited start to the match by the home side. That was well won by Pallister. Giggs keeps it in play. Solskjær knocks it into space. Oh, Gerrard completely miscued. Beckham lets it run. Well, Manchester United showed with that goal just why they are leading the Premiership and just why they are defending champions. They've been on the back foot for most of the first half, but they've taken the lead. I'm not sure Earl Barrett wanted that. He never had chance of getting it. Everton's confidence has certainly been rocked by that United goal. Here's Philip Neville. It was a poor cross. It was behind Cantona. Ferguson. Gary Speed, Phelan, Barmby. Here's Klaus Thompson. Graham Stewart. It's from here on in that Everton have had trouble putting their game together. All right, until they get around the edge of Manchester United's third.
Replacing Gary Pallister, number 19, Ronnie Johnson.
Well, this is an early blow for Manchester United. Ronnie Johnson having to come on as a first half substitute to replace the injury-prone Gary Pallister. But it's like for like, and Manchester United will hope that it won't upset their rhythm too much. But there's some defending to be done with the likes of Duncan Ferguson leading Everton's attack. Watson will take the free kick. Ferguson wins the header. Giggs with the clearance. Unsworth waits for it to drop. Ferguson wins it. Twice. Here's Graham Stewart. Well, I'm not sure he's given a penalty. It's a free kick, I think, right on the edge of the area. Graham Stewart had the foot cocked. The goal was looming. And Ronnie Johnson, just on as a substitute, smothered him from behind. It was a foul that started outside the penalty area, but then went into it. But Dermot Gallagher explaining why he's given the decision just outside. Schmeichel behind a very solid Manchester United wall. Gary Speed has backed away from this. Everton's top scorer with 10 goals, waiting patiently while the United wall is pulled back the requisite distance. Gary Speed hit the heels of Nicky Butt, back in off Thompson, and now goal kick. Well, somebody from Everton must have been offside when the second effort came in. Schmeichel wasn't called upon, and in truth Gary Speed didn't hit that too well. Unsworth's header. Graham Stewart. Here's Philip Neville for United. Earl Barrett. Ferguson. Ronnie Johnson just got a foot onto it. It will be Everton's throw. We're inside the last 5 minutes of the first half. The Goodison crowd still stunned by that Manchester United goal. Giggs trying to put Cantona through the middle. Stewart. David Unsworth. Straight to Irwin. And that comes straight back to Beckham. And United have got more in support here. Oh, Cantona wanted it in front of him. Even an international of Beckham's class guilty then of putting the ball not where it was required. Phelan. That's aimed at Ferguson. Philip Neville did very, very well to get his head on that ahead of Duncan Ferguson. The fullback saves the day. That's awkward. Earl Barrett. Ferguson continuing to win everything in the air. Watson pumps it back. Dennis Irwin putting it back with bonus. Unsworth, Stewart, Gary Speed. Here's Terry Phelan. Wants somebody to come to him. David Unsworth. That's David May's ball. Offside flag. Irwin aimed at Solskjær. Here's Gary Speed. He didn't look, and it will be a Manchester United throw. Unsworth will have to use Gerrard. Here's Joe Parkinson. Gary Speed. Phelan couldn't take it in his stride. Well, Everton come out with the ball, and Ferguson finds Gary Speed. Here's Gary Speed again. David Beckham. Stewart's underneath it, blocked by Neville. And he's got the free kick. Against Joe Parkinson. Well, that's another fine bit of defending by Philip Neville. So important that players get their body in front of shots whenever possible to prevent the goalkeeper from the necessity of having to make a save. Solskjær flicks it on, headed up by Watson. And Everton succeed in playing it out of a tight situation. Joe Parkinson. Dave Watson. Thompson. Comes back to Cantona. Here's Graham Stewart for Everton. Barmby. Turns away from Ronnie Johnson. Watson. Ferguson's header is behind for goal kick. They haven't profited yet from the forehead of Duncan Ferguson, but you wouldn't bet against it happening in this match. Just the one goal at half-time, and a goal, in truth, against the run of play, scored by Solskjær for Manchester United after 35 minutes. After Everton appeared to have done everything but score.
The Everton substitute replacing Klaus Thompson, number 8, Paul Rideout.
Paul Rideout, who once scored a goal in an FA Cup final that beat Manchester United, on as a second half substitute to replace Klaus Thompson. Irwin off Gary Speed. Manchester United are the Premier Division's top goal scorers. They've got 60 so far. Cantona in possession. He's got Giggs inside him. Here's Giggs, trying to wriggle out of a tight situation, but there were just too many blue shirts. Rideout on his first run, covered by Ronnie Johnson. Everton throw. Earl Barrett will take the throw for Everton. They've now got Rideout to look for in the penalty area, as well as Ferguson. And there is Rideout. Quick distribution again from Schmeichel to Beckham. Roy Keane. Solskjær. May watches it drop over the top of him, and conscious that Ferguson is behind him, concedes the throw. May now partnered by Ronnie Johnson, with Pallister off. Gary Speed aimed at Ferguson. Here's Rideout trying to turn out to Ferguson. He was solidly struck by Ferguson, and the link up with the second half substitute Paul Rideout, the replacement for Klaus Thompson, will maybe give Everton more clout up front. Rideout laying it back, just wide of the post. Earl Barrett for Rideout to chase. There's too much pace on that one. Joe Royle will know that in 13th place in the Premiership with 36 points, his team are not yet safe from the possibility of relegation. That's one for Unsworth to win, but straight to Keane. Solskjaer's cushioned header, cleared by Watson, put out by Irwin.
Could Terry Muse of Bagul please contact the Women's Hospital as soon as possible, please? Terry Muse of Bagul to contact the Women's Hospital as soon as possible, please.
Manchester United beat Everton twice last season. Terry Phelan with the throw, trying to make room for the cross. Corner. Well, Manchester United have argued the case, but Dermot Gallagher insists that it is corner. Well, these set pieces maybe give Everton their best chance. Watson's up from the back, Unsworth is in there as well. Maybe a caution here for Eric Cantona. United protested at the giving of the corner. He didn't get the yellow card, United's captain. The corner can now be taken. Out by Ferguson, and very well wide of United's goal. Everton had a dreadful run of results in December and January, when they lost 6 Premier Division games and were put out of the Cup by Bradford City. Schmeichel instructs the troops to go forward and then delivers a monstrous kick. Cantona won it. Out by Phelan. Jonsson's header. Here's Graham Stewart losing out to Nicky Butt. Good challenge though by Earl Barrett to find Barmby. Right out. Graham Stewart. Parkinson, that's short. Don't think Dave Watson would want to have too many runs against Solskjær. He'll be glad that that went out for a throw. Jonsson's header down to Nicky Butt. Unsworth looks for a forward target. Gary Speed. Phelan. Offside. They're just not functioning with a degree of confidence, Everton. Looking to the likes of Nicky Barmby to provide the inspiration and the killer ball. But it isn't happening yet. That comes out to Ryan Giggs. Cantona losing out to Earl Barrett and then fouling him. Never leaves you in much doubt about what he's thinking, does he? That's awkward. Philip Neville puts it out for the corner, but United were on the back foot there. Defenders had been turned. Barmby has placed the ball for the corner. Unsworth comes up from the back again. Watson's in there too. In the end, it missed everybody. And that's far too far in front of Beckham. Phelan, with that trusty left foot, still Phelan. Well, he's given a free kick. And it appeared to me that the foul on Phelan was after he'd played the ball. There's the pass. There was the block. An Everton free kick in another testing position. Barmby and Gary Speed in conversation. Has a good long look. Oh, then turns away and throws his hands to his face in anguish. Well, he might. Dennis Irwin in for Cantona. Solskjær behind him. This is Graham Stewart. Dave Watson. Rideout to Barrett. Nicky Butt read that. This is David May. Irwin. Beckham. Cantona's little flick intended for Dennis Irwin. That's not a bad header by Nicky, but the bounce favours Giggs. Well, Cantona applauded the ball from Giggs, although he was 3 yards off the possibility of making contact with it. Unsworth. Flicked on by Ferguson. David May's header. That's won by Stewart. This can come back to Schmeichel if that's what they choose. Barmby. This is Rideout. Stewart. Gary Speed. First time for Barmby. Solskjær trying to lay it back to Giggs, has given it to Earl Barrett. Watson. Oh, it's a great ball by Giggs to Solskjær. But both Unsworth and Stewart had the pace to deal with it. Handball by Nicky Butts, that'll be free kick. Gary Speed. Rideout. Has put it out. Nicky Barmby. Here's Ferguson. Everton still in search of that equaliser. Terry Phelan. Unsworth. There are lots of blue shirts to look for. Rideout's header down. May puts it out for the corner. He's certainly been an influential figure, Paul Rideout, since he came on. United's lead is tenuous. Barmby with the corner. Headed down by Ferguson. Well, they've won so much ball in that Manchester United penalty area. Oh, the red shirts are flooding forward on this left side. Here's Roy Keane. In to face Gerrard. Out by Graham Stewart for a corner. Well, maybe Paul Gerrard making amends there for the goal that he conceded in the first half from Solskjær. There was never an appeal from Manchester United for penalty. Corner's been taken short. Earl Barrett. Poor ride out, trying to make an impression. Gary Speed. Corner. That was Cantona back defending. United in need of an accomplished defending job here at Goodison to match that in the second leg against FC Porto. Barmby with the corner. Schmeichel comes and loses it. United's keeper clutching it at the second attempt. That header has fallen to Nicky Barmby. To Ferguson. Now Ryan Giggs. Once again, Giggs and Cantona not quite on the same wavelength. Oh, that's terrible by Parkinson. He gave it straight to Ryan Giggs. Right across the 6-yard box, and nobody in a red shirt was far enough forward. And Terry Phelan now completes the clearance. Earl Barrett. There's still a great atmosphere in Goodison Park. Stewart. Barrett. That'll be a corner. Everton are in need of the points. Here's Earl Barrett. There's been some last-ditch defending in that Manchester United 6-yard box. Ferguson wins it. Johnson knocks it up. Here's Gary Speed. Terry Phelan galloping forward. Didn't keep it in play. Alex Ferguson's team will go 6 points clear of Liverpool, having played the same number of games, if they can hold on. Ferguson's header didn't find Rideout. Here's Barmby. Gets it through to Rideout, who's offside. But a foul has been given anyway, I think, has it? No. It's the offside decision. But just a little tug at Nicky Barmby then, which might have brought a free kick. Rideout offside. Ronnie Johnson. This is Neville. Philip Neville. Cantona off his checks, trying to feed Giggs. Earl Barrett. Barmby takes over. Aimed at Ferguson. That was off Dennis Irwin. Phelan will keep it alive. Ferguson's header. He's a big, rangy target man and always carries a threat. But that was straight down the throat of Peter Schmeichel. Graham Stewart, Earl Barrett, Barmby. There's still a real competitive edge to this match. Stewart, Ferguson, Stewart. And United with a chance of breaking out again. Solskjær, Beckham through the middle. Here's David Beckham. Pushed away by Paul Gerrard. United once again threatening to score a goal from nothing. It's the speed with which Manchester United spring out of defence to launch attack which carries the threat. Beckham sprinting down the middle. Just denied the really clear strike that he would have wanted. Here's Gary Speed, 2 to look for. Barmby, Johnson got there first. The crowd have lifted the tempo. Barrett's throw. Out, but only as far as Joe Parkinson. Stewart. Keane finds Cantona. Here's Giggs to inject his pace. He's got Solskjær outside him. He's got Beckham on the right. Solskjær. He's forced Beckham to backpedal. Roy Keane. David Beckham. Goes across the line of defence. And maybe off balance when he hit it. Unsworth. Aimed at Ferguson. Gary Speed. Phelan. This is Parkinson. Johnson covered. Everton have the throw. This is Gary Speed. Rideout. Whistle's gone against Paul Rideout. Perhaps for use of the hand. Everton have only taken 20 points from a possible 42 at home in the Premiership. Here's Solskjær, offside. That may fall to Solskjær. He's got Cantona in the middle, but he's not there. Unsworth into Barmby, who kept his balance and kept the ball. Here's Rideout. He's got speed on the left. Oh, the crowd wanted him to give it to Gary Speed. And Gary Speed's asking why not. Just over 3/4 of the match played. Manchester United holding on to their 1-goal lead. Free kick given against Johnson. If Everton are to get something in this game, you do feel that it will come from the air. That's Duncan Ferguson. Barnby with the free kick. Here's Unsworth. That's out by Keane, corner. He had a lot of time then, David Unsworth, to really be selective and find a blue shirt. United having to defend another corner. Schmeichel comes and takes it solidly. And a throw to put Ryan Giggs away. And this is where United threaten danger. The pace of their breakout. Roy Keane. Nicky Butt. Philip Neville. Keane. Philip Neville. Drilled into the 6-yard box. And solidly caught by Gerrard. Cantona's header just finds Solskjær offside. Unsworth takes the free kick, and a blue shirt is offside, and that surely is unforgivable. Everton have lost 6 of their home Premiership games this season. Manchester United threatening to make it number 7. They'll be quite happy to funnel the ball back to Schmeichel. We're moving towards the last 15 minutes. Earl Barrett. Gary Speed, Earl Barrett. Are Everton running out of ideas? That'll find its way to Roy Keane. Nicky Butt tried to get it to Giggs. Everton have got to keep pressing forward. Here's Ferguson looking for somebody to tee it up for, and there wasn't anybody. Terry Phelan. Unsworth goes on his outside. The Goodison crowd increasingly dismayed at their side's inability to find its way through to Manchester United's goal. Graham Stewart. Here's Ryan Giggs, and here's Eric Cantona. David Beckham. Irwin. Keane. Offside Giggs. Helped on by Ferguson. Was backed by Irwin. Free kick. We're inside the last 15 minutes. Time running out for Everton. Well, Everton have appealed that ball bounced and hit Philip Neville's hand. Neither referee nor assistant agreed. It was his shoulder. Right out. Stewart offside against Gary Speed in the middle. Cantona, Keane, no offside, Solskjær into Cantona, he wasn't expecting it. Players look at each other, meanwhile Earl Barrett comes forward. Graham Stewart. It was simplicity itself for Irwin to pick that one out. Here's Beckham. Terry Phelan. Gary Speed. It just hasn't been Everton's afternoon so far. Barmby lifts it in. Schmeichel claims it and decides there's no quick outlet. Well, Unsworth stretched his leg around Solskjær, but it fell to Beckham. Aimed at Cantona. Gerrard missed it! Cantona! How do they do it? It's another goal which has just come from absolutely nothing. And you'd have to look and question the positioning of Everton's goalkeeper. Beckham looked up. There was only Cantona in a forward position. And why did Gerrard come so far when he didn't get it? Cantona left to tap it into an empty net for his 13th goal of the season. And this time there's no European hangover. After the exploits against FC Porto, Manchester United have got down to business in the Premiership and lead 2-0. United have got the free kick. The way that Eric Cantona hit the deck and slapped the turf, I thought, or he seemed to think, that it was going to go against him.
Today's attendance, ladies and gentlemen, 40,000.
Well, he strutted his stuff again this afternoon, Cantona. And that goal in the 79th minute. David Beckham goes down as if he's pulled something. Here's Rideout. Graham Stewart, dispossessed by Solskjær, who has put it out of play because David Beckham requires treatment. Well, this may be a worry for Alex Ferguson and Manchester United, and for England. Brian McClair ready as an immediate substitute. Don't think David Beckham is deliberately time wasting. He just isn't able to go any quicker, and the way that the hand is feeling to the back of the thigh, it would suggest perhaps a hamstring injury.
Substitution for Manchester United.
And Alex Ferguson is shouting to Beckham not to run and not to do any more damage than he may have done. Well, there's a 14-day gap now in the Premiership, but there is an England match. And Beckham goes straight off for treatment. Ferguson flicks it on. Hooked out by Nicky Butt. Roy Keane. Here's Ferguson. Barmby arrives, and when they finally crafted the opening they've been looking for, Schmeichel saves it. After all their hard work and all their endeavours, the best they can finally make, Barmby in the 6-yard box. He couldn't get it past the keeper. Here's Giggs. I'll give a close-up of the Everton goalkeeper when there's an opportunity. Dennis Irwin. Paul Girard, a surprise choice ahead of Neville Southall this afternoon, and perhaps at fault for both goals. Giggs. Solskjær, back to Giggs. Cantona starting to turn on the party tricks, but that one hit the hand. Ferguson's header. Rideout tries to recover it. Well, he worked hard to get an opening, but then gave it to the feet of a United player. Giggs. Manchester United not committing so many forward in this attack with just over 5 minutes left. Ronnie Johnson. Schmeichel into the crowd. McClair. Giggs. Back to Neville. This may go back all the way to Schmeichel as well. There's no need to do anything too heroic. We're moving towards the last 5 minutes. Keane, Cantona, Irwin. Cantona. Roy Keane. Irwin on his outside. That's aimed at Solskjær. That's gone to Rideout. Schmeichel well positioned to pluck it out of the air. Here's Philip Neville. Spots a run by Giggs. Cut off by Unsworth. Watson. Gerrard. Aim for Ferguson. Out to Barmby. Tees up for Speed. Oh, it was a super strike by Gary Speed. And there was a deflection as well. It's a corner. May have struck David May. I don't think Schmeichel got a touch of it. In by Rideout, over the top. Schmeichel with a wonder save. A little tap on the head for Peter Schmeichel. How did he see this one, first of all, let alone how did he save it? Unsworth, the player, with the scissors kick. And somehow Schmeichel saved. Roy Keane. Philip Neville. Cantona's waiting patiently on this left touch line. Back heel to Giggs. That's aimed at Solskjær. Back out, but only as far as Giggs tries to outrun Earl Barrett. Oh, he's cut through Earl Barrett. He's got away from Barmby. Oh, it was deflected off Watson. Corner. The Everton defender didn't know much about it. Giggs wriggling through a hole that didn't seem to exist. It might have caught out Gerrard at the near post. Again, United took the corner quickly and took it short. Free kick taken by Giggs. That's out by Gary Speed. Corner. Giggs will take the corner. Out by Speed. Flicked on by Rideout. Here's Philip Neville. That's aimed at Giggs. Oh, he's dropped it, Gerrard! My goodness me, what a nervous figure he looks in that goal. Perhaps at fault for both United strikes. Nearly gifting them a third. We're inside the final minute. Stewart in possession. Gary Speed. Barmby has stayed down. In by Unsworth. Out by Johnson. This is Brian McClare. Roy Keane, Irwin, McClare. Manchester United in no great hurry. McClare. Roy Keane loses possession. This is Joe Parkinson. We're inside the final 60 seconds. Anything now would surely just be academic. Hooked out by Johnson under pressure. Gary Speed, Everton to try again. Well, they're outnumbered here. Look how quickly Giggs has got forward. He wants to be part of this. Solskjær, it's 4-on-3. Cantona, back to Solskjær. Giggs, out to McClare. The advantage has evaporated. But Manchester United will be more than content to be ahead by 2-0 as we move into added-on time. And they may indeed funnel this all the way back to Schmeichel. Roy Keane, Nicky Butt, Brian McClare. Everton can't get the ball. United just want to run down the clock. It's a 7th home defeat in the Premiership for Everton, and it's another fixture which on paper looked as if it may prove awkward for Alec Ferguson's Manchester United side, but it's safely negotiated. Solskjær, who got the first goal, Cantona got the second after 79 minutes. Perhaps Everton will question their goalkeeper about both of those United strikes, but it's 3 points, and United now lead the table by 6.
Is there a match report?
You said you'll be next time.
You're hearing it, are you?